Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had said yes to that person or to that job offer? It's possible that the answer is materialized in some possible world, or at least that's what Lewis affirms in his theory of modern realism. In it, Lewis defends the real existence of everything that is possible in our world, but in another possible world, in other universes different from ours, all within a multiverse. Thus, the possible world in which you decide to go with this person to Brazil is concrete and neither more nor less actual than this world. However, the decision to go to Brazil was not really made by you, but by a counterpart of you, since you are only in one universe and have no connection with the others. Now, what is the purpose or benefit of this new theory? Modern realism helps in the conception of what is possible and what is necessary. Thus, what is possible will be what exists in at least one world, and what is necessary, what is real in all worlds. Lewis differentiates within this modality between the possibility or necessity of general things, called delicto, as in there could be no countries, or there couldn't be an immortal person, and the modality of particular or individual things, called the re, such as you could have eloped with Joao, or you couldn't not be human.
Lewis proposes that in an alternative universe, we have people who are extremely similar to us, although the similarities border on identical due to having any different property. Take, for example, if you had red hair in a possible world, but brown hair here in our world, due to Leibniz's law, as to claim that two things are the same, they must have all the exact same properties, with no exceptions. Therefore, Lewis introduces the counterpart theory, where there are people in possible worlds that are extremely similar to us, but due to minute differing properties, we cannot say that they are us. On the next slide, this then leads us to the example provided by Kripke of the Humphrey Objection. Humphrey lost the 1968 United States presidential election to Richard Nixon. According to Lewis's plurality of worlds, there is a possible world in which Humphrey won the election. However, Kripke's argument leads to the question of why should Humphrey care that his counterpart who resembles him in a possible world won the election, as it is not him. He cannot claim the victory of his counterpart. Only the reality that we see is what we reward people for, and therefore we do not recognize Humphrey as a president of the United States, even if there is a possible world in which he is the president of the United States.
Kripke's objections do in fact offer a very valid point of why one should care about their counterparts if they are spatially isolated from us, and are not even us, rather something that resembles us closely on these possible worlds. Lewis offers somewhat of a counter-argument on this claim, however. Lewis argues that according to counterpart theory, our counterparts actually allow us to be more lenient than one might realise. Take Kripke's objections, for example. For Lewis, the argument that one should not care about their counterpart's actions because they themselves are not their counterpart is false. Lewis argues that the property of a counterpart winning something under counterpart theory is the property of having a counterpart. Hence, Hillary Clinton has a counterpart who won the presidential election of 2016. Therefore, Clinton might have won. Although it isn't the most compelling argument, I must admit, Lewis also tries to further defend it by saying that one may argue if you ask Clinton if she cares about her possible winning, she will respond with yes. But if she is asked does she care about her counterpart winning, she will say no. And that it is obvious that possibly winning is not the same as having a counterpart who won. For Lewis, however, he desperately argues back that a person can in fact care about a certain property, that being possibly winning and not another. A counterpart winning, provided that it is not obvious that the description picks out the same property. He also argues that obviousness may count for something, but theoretical virtues are important as well in determining which analysis we ought to accept.
Lewis seeks to affirm his theory of modal realism through his counterpart theory. However, we do not find Lewis's argument compelling here, as he has some problems that he doesn't address. One major issue with Lewis's modal realism is that he believes it to be justified by theoretical utility. However, his theory is incompatible with contemporary physics, so it makes it very hard for it to be a viable theory. Yes, some physicists do believe that a multiverse does exist, but not to the same extent as Lewis's one. Suppose we accept his multiverse. Could the multiverse have been different? Is it possible that there are more or less multiverses? In Lewis's view, this doesn't make sense because you can't ask a good question about the whole universe, as everything that is possible does exist. In Lewis's defense, he would argue that each multiverse could have its own conception of physics, straying from our contemporary physics. However, most people and physicists especially would disregard this because it would be absurd to consider another conception of physics, as it does get a bit outlandish. We also find that there is no logical response to such a problem. According to modal realism, the idea that there could be blue donkeys means that there is a concrete possible world that contains blue donkeys. So that implies that there are blue donkeys in another universe. Lewis's response to this is that there are no blue donkeys in the actual world. However, if we format this differently, there seems to be an issue that I believe we cannot solve. Let's say there's another universe where there are no other possibilities are able to happen, and everything is determined. Hillary could not have ever won the election, so that means there are no possible worlds that she wins. If any possibility is likely, such as donkeys being blue, then there must be a universe where no possibilities are likely, thus creating the issue that modal realism doesn't exist in that universe. And in conclusion, there are many concrete problems with Lewis's theory of modal realism, all of which make it difficult for it to be a sound theory.